For Horns of Rocks, this is Joe Shufton. We're here at the headquarters of Roadrunner Records in New York City, about to talk with Robb Flynn from Machine Head about the new album Until Locust, out September 27th, of course, via Roadrunner Records, so stay tuned.
Hey, this is Robb Flynn from Machine Head, and you're watching Horns Up Rocks.
And welcome, brother.
How's it going, man?
I appreciate your time. I know you've been very busy finishing the final promotional steps for Until the Locust, because that's the reason we're here. September 27th is finally coming.
Yeah.
And Rob, let me ask you something, because I know you're very hands-on with the whole production process. Would you say it was harder than the previous releases because of the added pressure of kind of having to follow, you know, the amazing success of the Blackening?
No, I mean, we didn't set out to write the Blackening too. I mean, when we started writing the Blackening, it was August of 2005, and it went till about September 2006. And so at that point, that was the threshold of our abilities. And then we went and toured it for 3 years, and at some point that threshold became the new normal. And we started writing for this record probably about June of last year. I mean, we were better musicians, we were better players, we were better as a band, and we didn't want to have this limitation about what we could and couldn't do and how, you know, to try and write like our abilities from 5 years before. And so we just tried to push ourselves again and challenge ourselves again and challenge each other and see what we could come up with.
No, that definitely came across, as I told you before, the few songs I heard. And of course, when you premiered Until Locust at Mayhem Fest, there was, you know, the crowd response was, you know, great, because I know, as a, you know, for a band releasing a song on a festival, it either hits or it doesn't, you know what I mean? And I definitely think it came across, and, you know, the pit is, you know, synonymous to what probably you were expecting when you wrote that song.
Yeah, that show too, Connecticut, right? Yeah, that was fucking awesome. That was a killer show. Probably one of the best shows on the whole tour. Just so big, and I love it's like playing in a circus or something. Just 10,000 maniacs.
And of course, you were in the second stage, and then you were in the main stage. Was that transition a little weird for you, or you can just kind of get in the mindset, okay, we play here, it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, it's kind of is what I mean. It was, if anything, it was cool just to break up the pattern. You know, some days you're on the main stage, some days you're on the side stage, and it kind of gives you different things to look forward to. You know, you got to kind of get a different mindset for the main stage because it's all seated. You can't whip up the circle pits, and, you know, you got to get more into a different headspace. And, you know, I think when we did the Metallica tour, I mean, that whole in the round thing was, I mean, we had never done anything. It was such a foreign thing for us, and it took us good couple weeks to kind of get our heads around, okay, like, how are we going to do this? And, you know, it taught us a lot, and, you know, used a lot of what we learned from that on the main stage whenever we hit the main stage.
As far as the production of Until Locust, if you would have to say compare, or let's say, I mean, of course, you don't want it to be the Blackening 2. You had a lot of great successful albums. That's not the only one. You haven't had a bad record. It's been different and at different times of life. Would you think that Until the Locust is kind of taking Machine Head into a next level, and finally maybe you're going to catch a break from those markets that haven't given you a break after all these years?
I mean, I feel like we've, as songwriters, as musicians, I definitely feel like we've taken it to the next level. I feel like we have made a record that's really special, and I think that the metal world is ready for something special. I mean, whether, you know, that translates into this market or that market or whatever, I mean, that's for the world to decide. I mean, you can't write for that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, that's almost self-sabotage. It's like, then you're writing for somebody else and what you think somebody else might like. And that's the wrong place to write from. I mean, you got to write from here. And, you know, for us, if the four of us got goosebumps, that was it. I mean, that meant it was good. And that's for us, that's the truest gauge, and that's the gauge we follow. And, you know, the rest is up to the world to decide. But we feel like we've put out something that's, you know, we're really proud of.
And was the writing process different from the previous records, or was the same as in like you coming in with a riff idea, some lyrics and vocals, and then having Phil, Adam, and Dave add their own flavor to it?
Yeah, I mean, Dave and I wrote for about the first 3 months, just him and I, and Dave, our drummer, writes a lot of riffs. And then Phil and Adam came in, and Phil would bring in riffs and just basically hand them to me and go, all right, put them together or take them apart. And so, yeah, it's pretty much the same. I mean, I think that everybody's cool with, letting me do that. And yeah, and we just jammed it until we felt we were done. Probably about 10 months.
But then after, I know you went through some lineup changes, but recently you were able to kind of grip on this lineup, and you can tell that it's coming across not only on the records but especially on stage.
I can tell you what, I watched that Iron Maiden DVD, and they had like 30 different dudes before the first record. So that's a band that's had a lot of lineup changes. 3 dudes in 19 years, not too shabby.
No, not at all. Especially because I think, as I said before, it's given those records different flavors. You work with different people. And I think the Blackening, if you compare, let's say, I'm sure you don't compare at all, but me as a listener and a fan of Machine Head since day one, if I compare with Burn My Eyes, I cannot say that one is better than the other because they're completely different, cool records. And same thing with the More Things Change, Supercharger. You've done, as I said before, really good records in your career and writing good songs. For anybody watching out there who might be getting into maybe, I want to make a record, or I want to start a band, what steps do you recommend they take?
I don't know if I'm the best person to give advice on that, but I think one thing that we've always wanted to do was we never wanted to just make a copy of the same record over and over again. We continually wanted to evolve. And the bands that we love and the bands that have held our attention throughout our lives are the bands that grew, and we grew along with them. Bands like Metallica, or I know a lot of people say that Slayer never evolved, but in my opinion, the first Slayer record was definitely more Priest, Maiden influence, and then you look at later at like Seasons in the Abyss or South of Heaven, it's got acoustic guitars and melody, and like the bands that evolved. And or even if you look at a band like The Cure, I mean, they started off as kind of a punk band and turned into this incredible Grand Canyon-sized gothic band, and I think that's important, and I think it's it just as an artist, it challenges yourself to constantly improve and to be better and to learn more and to hone your craft. There was a moment when we recorded at Green Day's place in Oakland. It's called Jingletown, and they had this huge wall filled with all these old vinyl records, like all the original vinyl from the 60s and 70s, and Beatles and Bob Dylan and Zeppelin and all their favorite bands, Pink Floyd, lots of punk bands and new wave stuff. And I was looking through this Bob Dylan record because there's a song that he wrote called Masters of War, which has some of the best lyrics I've ever read in my life. And they were very inspirational to me on Through the Ashes and on The Blackening. And I was actually reading the back of the album, though, the vinyl from the 60s, and it had this biography that was almost like an interview with him on the back of it. And it was just him, kind of a little bit of the history of him, and then just him talking about the songs. And that was an album that was a little later in his career. And one of the questions was, how is it that you keep on writing music that's so relevant this far into your career? Like, how is it that you can continue to do that? And he said, his answer was, you have to find new ways to say the same thing. And I thought that was so amazing. Like, that was such an amazing way to put it. And that is what music is about. It's finding, you have your own sound. We all have the sound that makes Machine Head, but you got to find a new way to say it to make it interesting for people.
Yeah, especially times, right now it's hard, as to kind of get a record out. Maybe when you started it was quote-unquote easier, even though it's always been an underground genre, so it's never been easy to sell 1 million records in a day like some artists might do. But I think nowadays, especially, and you see this too, of course, as a music fan, that bands have stepped up their game because they know they have to deliver the goods, because people, immediately recognize the bullshit, especially with heavy metal.
Yeah.
And of course, Onto Locust is coming on September 27th, as we said before. And before we got out of here, for anybody watching out there, old school, new school, future fans of Machine Head, why should they pick up your record? The world is listening.
This is where I gotta come up with my nutshell because it's awesome. No, just good stuff, man. It's real, and if you like that, then you'll dig it. And if you don't, then you won't. It's not for everybody, but for the people who will get it, and for the true music fans out there who want music written by music fans, this will be for you.
Very well said, Rob. I want to wish you the best of luck. And of course, you're going on tour to Europe with your brothers from Devil Driver, Darkest Hour. So we're definitely gonna be,
We're having a listening party here in New York too on the 24th, Saturday at Paul Booth's.
Last Rites.
Paul Booth's Last Rites Theater. So it'll be open to fans and industry. Gonna be drinking a lot, and playing the record continuously in videos and stuff. Gonna be some of them. We're gonna have karaoke contests and stuff, and we're not. We will be attending, but we will not be performing. So we'll just be hanging and getting hammered with everybody. So if you want to come on down, man.